Did you know that in the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros., the movie Bowser has another name? Or still, did you know that the characters of The Simpsons have different names there in Arabia and the Middle East? Surely everyone remembers Luma and her omens about death. But in Japan, they prefer to avoid the child public having contact with the word death, and many children who go to the cinema would hear Luma Lee talk about it. So instead of her saying,
"There's no escape. The only hope is the sweet relief of death,"
whoa! She says, "I'm not totally a ray of sunshine, my heart is full of darkness." This is just one of the parts that we will show you today. Relax and enjoy that there comes another great video for you. Everyone knows that The Simpsons portrays the life of a middle-class American family. But as they're broadcast all over the world, it is easy to understand that in many countries the lifestyle of Homer is not much, let's say, well regarded. We know, for example, that he loves to take a Duff, which is the beer brand of the cartoon. However, in Muslim countries the consumption of alcoholic beverages is prohibited. For this reason, in the animation the name beer is replaced by soda. And yet, the Moe's bar also does not exist in the drawing. Poor Moe, become unemployed. Snow White is definitely a staple of Disney's animation cinema, being the company's first full-length cartoon that is now one of the largest entertainment companies in the world. As you know, we see the princess who is chased by the evil stepmother and welcomed by king dwarfs who help her. We have the poisoned apple and the princess is also clear. All this is story of a fairy tale that was adapted by Disney, just to remember. But did you know that in Russia we have the story of the tale of the sleeping princess and the 7 knights? Well, neither we did know. This version was developed by Alexander Pushkin, a Russian poet who lived there in the 1800s, well before Disney existed. In this animated Russian version of 1950, the story is very similar. Evil queen, beautiful stepdaughter princess, who when flees, befriends 7 noble warriors and not 7 dwarfs. Of course, then we have the poisoned apple, a glass coffin and a princess who saves it. The stories are pretty similar after all. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is a film that is neither Disney Pixar nor DreamWorks, the two major rivals of today. The fact is, just like the Mario movie, Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs not of either, but of Sony, the same who released Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. And you know what's weird? The names of the movie vary according to the country he was in. For example, in Brazil the name was It's Raining Hamburger, in Turkey the name was It's Raining Kafta, a typical food there. And in Israel was It's Raining Falafel, a type of chickpea dumpling typical of there. Cool, right? I found these variations very cool. Super Mario's worldwide fundraiser has been what everyone knows as thunderous success. The movie is just really good. The Super Mario game is from Nintendo, a Japanese company, but Mario is Italian and lives in the United States. A real mix, isn't it? But what you might not know is that the film was only released in your home country 3 weeks later than in all other countries. And this had a reason. Many things in the games of the Mustached Plumber are quite different in Japan compared to the rest of the world. For example, in Japan Bowser is not called Bowser, but Koopa, when around here Koopas are Bowser's underlings who are their king. And this was modified in the Japanese dub, because it is called the Violent Bowser. Many of the viewers would be confused and even angry at the film. Another interesting difference that is possible to notice in the Japanese version of the movie is that in the scene where Donkey Kong accompanies Mario on the climb to the Bowser's castle, we see that he make a joke with Mario's because he's dressed as a raccoon. In the Japanese version he speaks Tanuki, because in fact Mario's outfit was not inspired by a raccoon, but rather this typical animal in Japan and China called tanuki, which we call here in the West, raccoon dog. But in reality he's neither a dog nor a raccoon, he is a tanuki himself, which is a unique species of animal that exists on the other side of the globe. And we do not know why he does not exist even here. This I know that most of you had no idea, just like us. It's even the same animal that was used in the Japanese version of the Zootopia newspaper. DuckTales is one more of the old cartoons that Disney recently relaunched in its animation channel. But one thing did not change between the 1987 version and 2017, the name of the characters. Among the main characters is Scrooge McDuck. But did you know that in some Latin America countries it has other names? Guys, there the name of the characters is Uncle Patines. which would be something like Uncle Little Duck. That's because the original names probably wouldn't stick in people's mind there. Uncle Patinha is a more familiar name for them. For you to have an idea, Uncle Scrooge there in the United States, where he was raised, is called Scrooge McDuck. Have you ever thought about calling him Uncle Scrooge? It made nothing to do, right? And it is not only the Scrooge McDuck that had its name changed in DuckTales in Latin America. There, Huey, Dewey, and Louie also have other names. They're called Huguinho, Zezinho, and Luizinho. These names were chosen here for their familiarity with Portuguese and Spanish, which are the mother tongues in Latin America. Very cool, this cultural diversity, isn't it? 8th, The Amazing World of Gumball. Anyone who has ever seen The Amazing World of Gumball at least once does not know what they're missing. It is simply one of the most fun cartoons there is. And of course all the success would not go unnoticed by the Chinese, of course. Guys, copy everything good. And The Amazing World of Gumball has the ball of the turn. But the Oriental version was released in 2015, 4 years after Gumball. And she's called The Miracle Star. In it we can see Star, a little goat, at least is what it seems, called Miao Lexin, and his aquatic brother who is a frog, called Gua Gua. Like Darwin, thick and thin with Gumball is a fish. So right, it's very clear. Guys are a lot of bags. Even the character's kitchen is similar. But I have to tell you that these designers are not ashamed of making cheap copies. That's a fact. The funny thing is that Cartoon Network itself released an episode called The Imitators, where Gumball and Darwin simply find Meow and Gua Gua. Of course nobody says their names, but it's obvious that we're they. Very creative, I must admit. One of the things that was also modified in the Simpsons version transmitted in the Muslim countries was the very name of the drawing. That's right, the Simpsons are not the Simpsons there, but the Sing-Sons. But not only that, the names of the characters are also different there. Like Homer over there is called Omar. Bart, who's actually short for Bartholomew, became Bartender. Maggie became Margie, which is actually the same name, but written a little differently. Maggie became Mugly, and Lisa is called Lizajet, who did not enjoy the Wednesday series, was certainly very sad when watching the episodes. The series was a complete success on Netflix. But what if I told you that Wednesday is only Wednesday in many countries, but not in all? Would you believe? Well, it's personal. Once again, in Latin America the character's name is totally different. There she's called Vandinha, which would be something like Little Wanda. Whoa, what a difference, huh? Still in the Addams Family universe, we have another character that everyone loved, who also had his name changed in some countries further south. We're talking about the good old Uncle Fester, responsible for making Wednesday give one of the few smiles she gave in the whole series. There in Latin America, Uncle Fester is called Uncle Chico. This small adapted was a strategy for the 1973 drawing that arrived in Brazil, and other countries with several changes in the names of the characters. And Uncle Fester and Wednesday were only two of them. Finally, we could not stop talking about Secret Wizard, Duffy Duck, who is sort of a rival that was created to compete with Disney's Donald Duck, also had his name changed upon going to Latin America. The creators of the duck, half crazy and half clueless, gave him the name Daffy Duck, but in some Latin American countries, he is known as Patolino. The people responsible for the voice acting thought Patolino would be much better, and the name really makes success there. And today it's very hard for someone not to know Bugs Bunny's best friend. Isn't it personal? These were the 12 excerpts of films and cartoons that are different in other countries, guys. And you, what did you think of these differences that we show you here? Tell us down here. If you liked the video, like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye bye.